No one in Fairfield could say exactly when the carnival arrived. A week before, there had been a small notice in the local paper: the traveling fair, Starlight Shows, will set up at the North Field near the grain elevator. Then one morning, there it was: tents, trailers, glittering rides, and garish trucks, as if they had sprouted from the ground overnight. Lantern towers flickered, music floated through loudspeakers, and the air smelled of caramel, gasoline, and damp canvas. Children begged for coins to ride the Comet roller coaster, teenagers sneaked into the shadows of the Ferris wheel holding hands, and adults lined up for fried dough and coffee, pretending they didn't believe the strange tales about wandering troops that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. The last evening went perfectly, just like every night before: fireworks, announcements from the booming voice of the MC, and laughter rolling across the field. At 10:57 p.m., the lights went out for a moment. A surprise prelude to the grand finale, the announcer joked. At 10:58, the Ferris wheel lit up with cold blue bulbs, and at 11 o'clock, the final fireworks exploded overhead. The crowd clapped for a long time. Around midnight, tired but happy, people went home. No one noticed that the final song seemed to hang on its last note, as though the melody itself refused to end. By dawn, the field was empty. Completely empty. No trucks, no torn-up grass from hundreds of wheels, no rides, no stage, only smooth, dark circles in the dirt where the attractions had stood, and strange arcs, like something enormous had barely touched the earth before lifting away. Power lines hung undisturbed on their poles. The asphalt road showed no tire tracks. The horizon was nothing but wind over the cornfields. Sheriff Dane Collins was the first to arrive. He walked the field slowly, crouched near the dark circles, and felt the soil. It was faintly warm, as if it had been touched by fire. In the grass he found only one item: a small wooden box with a tarnished brass lid. Inside was a music box. When he wound it, a tune played, slow, unsettling, almost like a lullaby but wrong, with a strange note that made his skin crawl. On the underside of the lid, scratched faintly, were the words: "The show never ends." That day, school was cancelled. Children loitered on the sidewalks, sharing selfies they'd taken the night before. Everything looked normal in the photos: rides, balloon vendors, the man in the funny crown hat at the ticket booth. But in the background, barely visible, there was a dark smudge. In some videos, the smudge seemed to move, like a shadow glitching in and out of the frame. By noon, state patrol cars swarmed the field. By evening, news crews arrived. Reporters quickly discovered that the carnival's charismatic MC, the man who had introduced himself as Mr. Auriel, did not exist in any database. The business licenses for Starlight Shows were filed under shell companies that dissolved years ago. The whole carnival seemed to be a puzzle made of fake names and empty records, a story without roots in reality. Sheriff Collins brought in witnesses that night. The first was Mrs. Fenton, who had sold lemonade at a table near the entrance. At 10:57, the lights went out, she said. I thought it was part of the act. But in the darkness, I heard something else, not the crowd going, "Oh," but a shuffling sound, like huge fabric sliding across the sky. Like someone was folding up the night itself. The second, a teenage boy, showed Collins a video he'd filmed during the finale. In it, the Ferris wheel turned slowly. One of the gondolas appeared empty. In the distance, the same dark smudge pulsed at the edge of the frame. The boy swore he had seen carnival workers drying giant painted sheets behind the stage, sheets depicting figures without faces. The third witness, Karen Marlowe, had worked as a cashier for 3 nights only. She whispered to Collins. There weren't as many of them as you'd think. Most were props. Dolls behind the ticket counters, mannequins dressed as security guards. When I asked for paperwork, Mr. Auriel just laughed and said, "Relax. This town is just the intermission." Last night he handed me this. From her purse, she produced a copper token, engraved with a strange 6-pointed star that shimmered like oil in a puddle. He said, in case anyone gets lost after the finale. I didn't understand if it was a joke. The next day, experts arrived, geologists, engineers, and men with devices to measure strange energy. The soil in the dark circles contained unusual magnetite levels mixed with an unknown trace element. No one could match it to any industrial source. Some suggested jet engines. Others blamed rare lightning phenomena. But none of that explained how an entire carnival vanished silently, leaving no debris and no witnesses. Meanwhile, Sheriff Collins couldn't stop thinking about the melody from the music box. That night, he wounded again at his kitchen table. The tune looped perfectly, until one odd note slipped, creating a pause that seemed to pull the air from the room. His wife claimed she heard laughter beneath the melody, like a carousel full of children giggling far away. Collins locked the box in his office safe. On the third night, one of the volunteer patrolmen, Lucas, vanished. His flashlight was found lying beside the largest dark circle, switched off. In the center of the circle was a single ticket stub, its bright letters reading, Admit 1. Under UV light, faint hidden words appeared, Intermission. That same night, a farmer reported hearing music. Not tractors, not engines, but muffled brass horns and drums. Curious, he drove to the edge of the field. When he turned off his truck, the silence was broken by the unmistakable sound of a marching band, faint and far away, as if buried underground. A breeze carried the smell of caramel. More strange stories followed. People began losing small items, buttons, keys, hairpins. In some homes, entire paragraphs disappeared from journals, blank pages where memories had once been written. The town historian dug through archives and found reports of similar events. In 1954, a traveling carnival vanished 2 counties over, leaving only scorched circles in a field. In 1921, a show called the Moonlight Fair disappeared during a mock eclipse. In both cases, the official police notes contained a single cryptic word, interlude. A university musicologist was brought in to study the tune from the music box. If this carnival were a piece of music, he told Collins, it would be structured in repetitions, motif, pause, motif. This melody has no ending, only a return to the beginning. The show never ends isn't just a slogan. It's a pattern. If somewhere there is always an intermission, somewhere else there must always be a stage. That night, Collins went to the field alone. He brought the music box, Karen's token, and an old tape recorder. Midnight passed quietly. At 12:17 a.m., a thin fog rolled across the grass. At 12:23 a.m., the smell of cotton candy filled the air. Collins pressed record. The music box began to play. On the third loop, the melody didn't reset, it shifted sideways, like a door opening. A ripple passed through the dark circle, like a massive curtain brushing against the earth. Behind him, the token on the table spun upright. "Who's there?" Collins shouted. The answer was a distant "itch," followed by the faint boom of a drum roll. When Collins replayed the tape the next morning, his blood ran cold. There were voices beneath the music. "Ladies and gentlemen. The next act, Between Worlds. If you get lost after the finale, please see the ticket booth." Then laughter, mechanical, hollow. The tape contained none of Collins's own voice. It sounded as though he had been sitting alone in an audience of ghosts. Lucas was never found. A week later, his watch turned up on the edge of the field. The hands were frozen at 10:57 p.m. The following year, exactly on the anniversary, a poster appeared on the town hall bulletin board. Starlight returns. One night only. 10:57 p.m., the grand finale. The poster vanished by morning. Surveillance cameras showed no one posting it. The next day, it appeared again, but this time, the words were only visible under UV light. That night, Karen Marlowe called Collins, sobbing. "I hear the music," she whispered. "In my kitchen." It's like I'm supposed to be back at the ticket booth. Like my shift never ended. The line went dead. Karen was never seen again. On her table, they found a photo frame. The photo was gone, replaced by a blank pane of glass smeared with faint, rainbow-colored residue, like oil. Today, the field looks ordinary. The dark circles have faded beneath new grass, but locals avoid the place after dusk. On certain foggy nights, travelers swear they hear faint carnival music drifting on the wind. Some claim to see colored lights flickering beyond the grain silos, lights that vanish the moment you look directly at them. Every autumn, Sheriff Collins checks the bulletin board. Sometimes there's nothing. Sometimes, a poster appears. And if you dare to stand at the center of the field at exactly 10:57 p.m., close your eyes, and listen. You might hear the distant echo of drums, the laughter of a crowd you cannot see. And a whisper right behind your ear. The show never ends.